You're listening to Inside Lebo, a podcast giving you an inside look at Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, produced by Mount Lebanon's Public Information Office.
While many high school students are focused on classes, sports, and college applications, some in Mount Lebanon are serving on Mount Lebanon Municipality's advisory boards. In this episode of Inside Lebo, we are highlighting the Junior Board Member Program, an initiative that connects Mount Lebanon high school students with the municipality's advisory boards to learn about local government, civic engagement, and public service. And I am your host, Rachel Windsor, Mount Lebanon's Assistant Public Information Officer and the Senior Editor of Mount Lebanon Magazine. Today's episode is brought to you by Scolieri.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. I am co-host, Assistant Municipal Manager, and Municipal Planner, Ian McMeans. So we're talking about the Junior Board Member Program today, which grew out of the Junior Commissioner Program, which we've had for decades here in Mount Lebanon. The Junior Board Member Program started around the kind of post-COVID time as really a way to help us achieve one of the goals in our comprehensive plan, which was increasing mentorship opportunities between knowledgeable, experienced community members and some of the youth that are in our schools. And we thought the Junior Board Member Program would be a good way to do that because we had a lot of really good applicants to Junior Commissioner, but we could only take 2 of them per year. So the Junior Board Member Program is open to not only students at Mount Lebanon High School, but also students who are in other private or homeschool students. So any Mount Lebanon residents eligible to be a Junior Board Member Program. And this also theoretically creates a pipeline for us for future junior commissioners because the Junior Board Member Program is open to sophomores, juniors, and seniors, whereas the Junior Commissioner Program is only open to juniors or seniors. So we'll talk more about that as we go through and gain some firsthand experience with how these students have integrated themselves with the municipal decision-making process. So joining us today are 2 of our current Junior Board members.
So to start, can each of you briefly introduce yourselves and share which advisory board you serve on?
I'm Paolo Scolieri. I'm currently a junior at Shadyside Academy and serve on the Resiliency Advisory Board.
I'm Eleanor Schulte-Albert, and I'm a senior at Mount Lebanon High School, and I serve on the Civic Engagement Board.
Great. So what motivated the 2 of you to apply for the Junior Commissioner, Junior Board Member Program, and what interested you about serving on your specific board?
I've always had an interest in city planning, and the Junior Board Program presented a unique opportunity to get involved with local government, to propose ideas that can have a positive impact on the community. The Resiliency Board in particular interested me as I have a lot of background knowledge on how towns can make themselves more sustainable. And as someone who is heavily in favor of preserving Mount Lebanon's historic buildings and homes, I believe this board was a really good fit for me.
My mom introduced me to this opportunity after hearing about it on Facebook, and I thought it would be great because I have an interest in pre-law and government, so this was a real-world experience that I could set up foundations in. And also, I thought it would allow me to get comfortable with public speaking and communicating in a more small setting. I specifically was interested in the Civic Engagement Board because I knew it would allow me to interact with the broader Mount Lebanon community through volunteering and events, which I have experience with through the Global Studies program at my high school.
Awesome. So once you guys were appointed, what did the role look like for you? For example, like what happens during a typical board meeting for you as a junior board member?
For me, the role included me observing and researching ways that Mount Lebanon could be improved not only to be more sustainable, but have sustainability measures that make Mount Lebanon a more pleasant place to live. During the actual meetings, junior board members are given dedicated time to speak during the advisory meetings. Oftentimes, the meetings will include voices from people in the community who want their ideas implemented, and the board itself has members propose ideas. During the meetings, there's often a vote from the board on whether or not to send resolutions to the commission for their vote.
I attend all of the Civic Engagement Board meetings, which are monthly on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., and they last about an hour. It's mostly listening on my part, but I contribute when I can, especially when it's something revolving around the high school. And we go through all the agenda and any announcements from the individual committees, such as the DEI Committee, Police Engagement, Residents Academy, MLK Day, or the Community Service Award. And we follow all the procedures, but it's a pretty relaxed environment.
Great. So in your time as junior board members so far, what have you learned about how local government works and how decisions are made at the municipal level?
I've learned how the commissioners receive recommendations on which legislation to pass and how community members can have their ideas implemented. All board meetings are open to the public, and I've seen people present their ideas to the board that the board can then send to the commissioners. For example, I've seen people present ideas to reduce plastic waste and even put a ban on gas-powered leaf blowers to reduce our carbon emissions and air pollution. And the board itself also sends these ordinances to the commission for approval. None of these boards actually get the final say. Some of the boards do get some oversight, but it's the commission that gets the final say in local government.
I see just how much organization and communication that goes into every action a local government wants to take. And at every board meeting, there's not just board members, but also municipal staff or liaisons. Minutes and agenda items are recorded carefully, and also we host an online Zoom call in addition to the in-person meeting in case anyone online wants to join. And because I'm in the Civic Engagement Board, we also ask for a lot of community input. So this can be from local businesses, religious leaders, or residents. And it's also very important which methods we use to distribute information so that it's communicated in a clear, concise, and safe way.
Very well said. And you mentioned the board members and staff liaisons. So how would you say that you've been supported by them in your role?
All the board members have been really supportive and encouraging during the meetings, especially like when I present. Afterwards, they'll tell you like, I really like this point, and they'll provide useful feedback. And actually, when I presented an idea on bus stop benches to increase bus ridership, one of them reached out to the transportation board to put that idea in their catalog, and I just believe they really do take interest in the boards they serve for, and they're really supportive. And the staff liaisons, they always keep me updated with emails, which is really important to staying up to date and presenting, having the most useful knowledge when presenting before the board.
As a high school student, it can sometimes feel like you're not an equal in these types of spaces, but I haven't felt that way at all, thankfully. And I have been much appreciated by the board members and staff liaisons, and they've been sure to include me in any updates, emails, or communications that they send out. And specifically, Kelsey Lee, who organized the MLK Day of Service this past January, was very helpful in assisting me in joining the MLK Day Committee and giving advice on the project that I did.
Great. So we're going to take a quick break here with a word from our sponsor, Trouvers Jewelry, and we'll be back in the second half of today's episode. We'll take a closer look at the work the Resiliency Advisory Board and Civic Engagement Board are currently undertaking and hear more about how this experience has shaped Paolo and Eleanor's interests and goals.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry? At Trouvers Jewelry, you're not just a customer, you're part of the family. Locally owned by Mount Lebanon residents Rob and Kay Trouver, Trouvers has specialized in exquisite craftsmanship and custom jewelry design for over 30 years. Rob is an expert goldsmith, ensuring your jewelry is created with the utmost skill and care. Whether you're looking for something timeless or one of a kind, Trouvers delivers it all. Visit us at the corner of West Liberty and Piermont Avenue, or check us out online at trouvers.com. At Trouvers, it's personal.
Welcome back to Inside Lebo. We're continuing our conversation with junior board members Paolo and Eleanor, who are on the Resiliency Advisory Board and Civic Engagement Advisory Board. So Paolo, can you explain what the Resiliency Advisory Board focuses on and why that work is important for Mount Lebanon?
The Resiliency Board has really three main objectives: to encourage initiatives that will make Mount Lebanon more environmentally sustainable, to help new and existing businesses in the community, and to assist with historic preservation. Environmental sustainability affects not only the community, but the planet at large. What we send to landfills, put into the water, and release into the air will affect people, and Mount Lebanon residents are very aware of that. The Pittsburgh region as a whole has been infamously not kind to our waterways and air in the past, and even today, the air quality is not the greatest, and Alco Sand still has to release sewage in the river whenever it rains too much. So there really is a responsibility to improve these things so that we can ensure the best living conditions for our residents and everyone else. For the second of these three main focuses of the board, which is business, I believe that it is an important focus as our local businesses are an integral part of the community. They provide places for people in Mount Lebanon to go to, which contributes greatly to the feeling of community in our town. The clusters of businesses in Mount Lebanon are inviting places where I constantly see people socializing and actually enjoying themselves in our town. These places also generate tax revenue for our town, which allows it to actually operate. Lastly, on that note about the feel of the town, our historic preservation has been vital to making Mount Lebanon actually a community with character. is not uncommon to come across houses built almost a century ago when Mount Lebanon was a growing streetcar suburb, and they're just beautiful homes to look at. Overall, the board protects both the town's future and its past.
That was spot on. That was exactly as we envisioned the board when we constituted it a few years ago. So that's great to hear the reflection on, everything that it's still doing as well. So what types of discussions or projects have you been a part of as a junior board member?
So one of the board's most recent resolutions sent out to the commission was to make a hollow near the golf course more ecologically friendly, which includes upgrades to it, such as adding more trees, which increases tree canopy, and just simply in Mount Lebanon we have a great emphasis on our trees and taking care of them. So I think this is a project that will really help out the town. And something I've done recently, as I mentioned earlier, the plan to add more bus benches. I presented this plan to facilitate more ridership, because this is the easiest way that towns can really reduce their traffic and car pollution in their towns, and also demonstrate that Mount Lebanon does care about its bus lines, which PRT is considering to cut our bus lines. So we need to really take in consideration what we have access to and make policymakers mindful that we do use the buses here and we do have a commitment to it. In the near future, I hope to assess potential changes that could be made to Washington Road and Uptown as the board receives more updates from PennDOT.
Great. And how would you say this experience has changed how you think about environmental planning, sustainability, or community resiliency?
I believe this board really has changed my view on sustainability. It makes you notice so many more details about the community that you just never thought about before. Consider lights. For example, when you're going down the street and you're looking at all the street lights, you just think all of them are just the same lights. They all serve the same purpose, to keep the streets lit and the sidewalks lit. But if you really look at them, there is some small details that make a large difference, such as the type of lights that's used, and especially the overhead covers. And it's just small details like these that can have a real impact on light pollution, which affect bird migration. And so you simply start to look at everything else at these small details that you can really improve the community in an ecological way.
Great. So switching over to Eleanor, your role with the Civic Engagement Board. So what does civic engagement mean in the context of Mount Lebanon?
So our purpose is to create a bridge between the community and the municipality, and we especially advise on community relations in cultural or religious contexts, which can be things like the holiday season. And we also recommend DEI initiatives. And it's our priority to educate the public about their rights and listen to their input on any of our projects. In Mount Lebanon, because we're a very tight-knit community, I think civic engagement is our way of staying connected and letting people know that their opinions are very valued in how our municipality operates. And we want to ensure that everyone, regardless of their identity or background, will want to participate in the events that we offer.
Awesome. So how does the board work to encourage residents to participate more in municipal life?
We have a few different initiatives. The one I was most involved in was the MLK Day of Service, which is a day of volunteering and giving back to the community in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So on January 19th, we had over 270 volunteers from Mount Lebanon participating in different projects around the area. And I think people really like events like this where they can gather together with their family and friends. So at the high school, I initiated a fundraiser for the nonprofit Global Links, where we raised money to create personal hygiene kits. And in total, we were able to make over 40 kits. And this just shows how there's opportunities to engage both directly and indirectly, which I think is great. And then also the Residence Academy is another program that we offer, and it spans multiple sessions. And it allows participants to have a general overview of local government and how it works, and they include speakers from different boards and also speakers from the school district, animal control, or health providers. And a great thing about this is that it's free and it's over 2-hour sessions, so it's not a super high commitment.
So you kind of talked about this a little bit with the program you were able to start at the high school, but as a junior board member, how do you see your perspective adding value to these conversations at the board level?
Youth voice is really integral to creativity because we have less experience, so I think there's less restrictions on how we think, and we're less afraid to think, outside of the box. Most high schoolers aren't consistently informed about local issues, and junior board members can help carry out information to clubs or groups at the high school. especially through technology, because my age group is very adept at navigating social media and things like that. So it just comes naturally to communicate like that. And our connections to the school can garner support for any projects, which I know especially helped with MLK Day.
Perfect. So for both of you, what would you say to other Mount Lebanon students who might be considering applying to be a junior board member?
I would say apply to all the boards that you are interested in. Don't just apply to one. And the board does require you to get a recommendation letter, so I would do that as early as possible. Don't make that a last-second thing.
I would say go for it, because there's over a dozen boards to choose from, and I'm sure at least one of them will align with your interests. And if you're concerned about the time commitment, I would say don't be. It's only a few hours a month, and on the website it shows the days of the week that each board operates, which is helpful if you know what time your extracurriculars are. And there are a few steps to applying, like a few paragraphs and an interview, but don't worry about it, because people do want you to succeed. And this opportunity is what you make of it. You can choose which subcommittees within each board you want to be a part of. And yeah, just take a try.
All right. Well, thank you both for taking the time to join us today and for your service on our boards. So students interested in applying to the Junior Board Member Program and Junior Commissioner Program must be Mount Lebanon residents. For the Junior Board Members, we accept applications from sophomores, juniors, and seniors in any school. For the Junior Commissioners, it's just juniors and seniors at Mount Lebanon High School. So the Junior Board Member Program is open to a lot more residents than the Junior Commissioner Program, but all the information can be found on our website at mountlebanon.org/junior commissioner, all spelled out, no abbreviations.
And that's it for this edition of Inside Lebo, sponsored by Trouvers Jewelry, produced by Marcia Morgenstern, with music by Drew Munyo and graphics by Amy Robinson. Be sure to subscribe for future episodes, and we'll see you next time with more from Mount Lebanon.
Thanks for listening to Inside Lebo, produced by Mount Lebanon's Public Information Office. Learn more about all things Lebo at mountlebanon.org or by following our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages.